What is the definition of the GOAT? Well, Google doesn't lie. It's MX vs Atv Reflex. For a game that came out all the way back in 2009, and for me to still be considering it the GOAT, just goes to show you how downhill these motocross games have gone. So let's dive into it. So obviously, if you don't have good tracks, you're not going to have a very good motocross game. In Reflex, well, let's just say its tracks are the creme de la creme. There's 20 tracks in Reflex and 4 of them are DLC. Here's a list of every single national track in the game. My favorite, Sandwick. Just look at the goddamn ruts. This track is the roughest in the game. No matter how much practice you put on it, it'll catch you out. Here's a list of every single supercross track in the game. My favorite, probably Manchester Round 2. It's got a great layout, it gets really rough, and the scaling of the track seems just right. Although a lot of people seem to like Fort Dodge Round 2. I mean, you jump up into the goddamn stands. So yeah, it's pretty good. There isn't one single bad track in Reflex. Every single one is either iconic, great, or good. Each time I revisit this game and come back and play on all the tracks, I'm always enjoying myself, never getting bored, because each track is just so different from each other. The game just has a good selection or variety of tracks to choose from, and also the terrain deformation just adds to that. And if you own this game on PC, there is thousands, hundreds of custom tracks to choose from, including every single real-life replica of the US Nationals, and even some of the MXGP Nationals as well. Shout out to all the guys that made those tracks, because they must have spent hundreds of hours making them. They're pretty spot on. I've been to Unadilla myself a few times, and that track is pretty good. It's also really close to what it looks like in real life, and the same goes for all the other US or MXGP national tracks. And there's a bunch of random custom tracks that people make. Some kind of bad, but a lot of them are fantastic. They're super fun to ride on, and with the track deformation in this game, nothing really beats it. So if you have a PC, get Reflex for it. Don't get it for the console, because you won't be able to download all the custom tracks on Xbox or PlayStation. So once you get it on PC, it is definitely a no-brainer that this is the greatest motocross game of all time. As we all know, when you ride a dirt bike, the track kind of forms ruts and gets super rough. All motocross tracks break down in some way, shape, or form. So when you make a motocross game, you kinda need terrain deformation and ruts. Talking about you, Milestone. Get on it. Anyways, the terrain deformation and Reflex is still the greatest motocross game to do it by a fucking mile. MXGP3, MX Bikes, MX Simulator, any other game that has terrain deformation, it doesn't come close. Reflex is still the king when it comes to that. Just take this race on Sugar Ridge for an example. On lap 1, not too bad, kind of a smooth track, a little bumpy, and if you just do a few laps, the track gets fucking gnarly that quick. You could do 20 laps on any Milestone game and it won't be rough in the slightest, but 3 laps on any track in MX vs Atv Reflex, the track is just fucked. And look at it on lap 10, basically unrideable, deep ass ruts, crazy ass braking bumps. If you're gonna do a long race in Reflex, you better give your balls a tug and strap yourself in, cause holy fuck, it gets rough. I rest my case. Do I really need to explain the physics in this game? I mean, I guess you're watching, so if you play this game, you know the physics in Reflex are the greatest and the most fun in any motocross game. There isn't really a debate you can make for that. If you want to throw a fat ass scrub or a big old fat fucking whip, you can. And guess what? It looks pretty darn sexy, don't it? You can pretty much scrub any jump in this game, whether it's a custom track or a stock track, and once you get them down, my fucking goodness, it looks pretty darn good. The whipping, on the other hand, I haven't really figured that out yet, but you can still make them look pretty fly. Whenever a new motocross game comes out, everybody's always saying, "Aw, it doesn't look like Reflex," and you know why? Because Reflex is the greatest motocross game of all time. If you're riding a custom track and you go into a pre-built rut, you can absolutely shred the titties off that, man. It's just so satisfying. I could probably do 100 laps on any track in this game, and I would just keep on having fun, because the ruts and the terrain deformation, the whips, just how the bike reacts everywhere on the track in this game, it's so fun, super satisfying, and there's a reason why people still consider it the GOAT and people still play it to this day and make content for it, because it is, again, the GOAT. Just look at these braking bumps, man, oh my god. Every time I come flying down this hill, I pretty much poop my pants, because your bike just gets all out of goddamn control. So anyways, if you couldn't tell, the physics in this game are top notch, aka a pair of nice titties. There's actually quite a lot of content for this game. If you're an ATV lover, trophy truck lover, or perhaps you like doing waypoint races, etc., you can actually have lots of fun with these different side modes because the maps are designed well, and if you're doing split screen with your buddies or whatever, that's also pretty fun. And if you just want to try something different, I strongly recommend waypoint races or whatever else there is because they're a lot of fun. And if you want to ride ATVs or trophy trucks, sports buggies, you can do it on free ride maps or race them, so that's pretty awesome. The graphics for Reflex still look very good to this day, and it came out in 2009, just remember that. But if we were to compare it to games like Supercross 1, MXGP3, all those newer milestone games, it's not quite up to par, but it still looks pretty good. I do often notice with Reflex that the textures on the ground seem to load in a little bit too close to me, and once you notice it, you can't really unnotice it. I can also tell that the graphics on my bike don't like to load in terms of its quality. This mainly is an issue with the custom bike skins that you download online, but at the same time you do notice it with the bike skins that are already in the game, but not as much as the custom ones. Other than that though, the game looks really good, and hopefully one day we can get some graphic mods for this game, because then the game would be even more enjoyable and that would be just phenomenal. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a multiplayer lobby after sitting in one for quite a while, so I just gave up after a bit. I don't think the servers for Reflex are still up on PS3 and Xbox 360, however they are still up for PC. So if you have some buddies or some people that you want to play with, PC is where to do it, but you might need to create a private lobby. So multiplayer for me, it's gonna have to wait, but I've been watching it on YouTube for years. If you just go back and watch some old Thailand videos, you already know multiplayer is a banger. Do you guys remember in Reflex when you would come into a corner too hot, over jump a jump, case a jump, etc., and you'd get these green arrows either right, top, left, bottom, and you would have to quickly react with your right stick in the same direction or you would fall. That is something that newer games need to bring back. Even though it's not hard to get the hang of, it's just a fun little feature in the game and it adds a bit more randomness and variety to the game. I think that's everything I have to say for this video. I enjoyed coming back and playing this game, and now that I have it on PC, I'm not going to stop playing it for quite a while. And if any of you guys have never played this game on PC or downloaded custom tracks, I highly recommend getting it for yourself on Steam, downloading custom tracks, and maybe you can get the DLC for free because somehow I got that. This game is still a blast. It will be 20 years down the road. So other than that, I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, take care.